So, yeah, I swore I'd never be that guy, always constantly upgrading his gym equipment. Yeah, right. Well, sometimes things happen. So, hey guys, Keith from Kiisu.Powerlifts here, and today we're here to talk about my new Hansu Combo Rack. So this review is kind of going to be an upgrade / review. So a lot of comparisons to my StrongArm. Sorry about that, but I have to baseline a reference of some sort. So yeah, welcome to it. So to give you a little bit of background, when I was looking for a combo rack, and I always knew I wanted a combo rack, that was never in question. It came down to the two. It came down to Hansu and it came down to StrongArm. So I reached out to Hansu, and unfortunately because we were in a COVID lockdown, I couldn't get out to see the guy, and it just didn't work out. And StrongArm, as I mentioned in my previous review, Mike was great, he answered all my questions, so I ultimately went with StrongArm, and I was really happy with it. No regrets, none, honest. But things happen, and I happened to notice a listing for the Hansu at a really good price, like super good price. So I reached out again, and this time I was able to get a hold of Adam, who's been great, and he's the local Hansu rep. And I went out to his office where he stores all this stuff, and he had, a combo rack for me to look at. And I looked at it, and it ticked a lot of the right boxes. A lot of the issues or minor complaints that I had with the StrongArm. It was local, so I could literally drive it here. So there's no shipping, so that saved me a bundle of money too. And basically, at the end of the day, I made the decision to upgrade to the Hansu. So yeah, I mean, it's a great piece. So the reason that this was on for such a great price is that Hansu has now announced a new, what they're calling the Elite model. Now all this information comes from the Australian website. I'll put up a picture here. This is now called the Classic model. And so, if the Elite's going to be a lot more expensive. It's listed for 3,000 Australian dollars on the Australian website. That's about 2,700 Canadian, which is about 2,200 American. So that's really kind of pushing up more into the ER combo rack range. It's kind of going to be an in-between, I guess. It's not quite up there, but still, I'll be very curious to see how Hansu does with it. If you're curious on the differences on the Elite model, and this may play into the review a little bit later, but the big things are, so the uprights are now all stainless steel. That's kind of an important point. We'll talk a little bit about that. The bench material is improved, which again, I think you'll find I will be quite interested in. The tightening knobs are now all stainless steel. Okay. I'm fine with the tightening knobs that they have here, not a big deal. They are using a simplified spotter pin design to avoid possible interference during the bench press. So, I had a look at the picture on the Elite, and basically what it seems to mean is that your spotter arm here, so on the current model, the spotter pins go this way, as they did on my StrongArm. So on the new one in the picture, it looks like they go this way, which is what ER does on their combo rack, for example. I honestly did try and sit here and actually try and bench and see if I could hit the little bit of the spotter pin that comes out. I couldn't. I'm about 185 centimeters tall, 106 kilos, so a little bigger than the average guy. I couldn't hit it. Maybe someone who has an even bigger wingspan than me might have some issues, but I really don't think it would be a big problem. The final thing, a premium polyester coating for durability. Okay, fair enough. The new model is also a lot beefier. It's going to weigh in at 250 kilograms versus this one, which weighs in at, I think it's 160 kilograms. Now 250 kilograms, that's getting up there in terms of the weight. I think the heaviest combo rack on the market is currently the Ghost, which weighs around 300 kilograms. The ER and the Rogue are both around 500 pounds at 225. So, definitely Hansu is making inroads, trying to make inroads into that market. I'm sure they're going to try and get it IPF approved, which this one technically is not, but again, I'm not hosting any events here. So, but anyway, we are here to talk about the Hansu Classic model in my review. So First of all, let's talk about the sales process. I mentioned Adam was great. I was able to go to his office. I was able to see one in person. Like I said, it just ticked a lot of boxes for me that were really important. So that was really, really great. Being able to just put it in my car and drive it here. We were a little concerned it wouldn't fit. Some of the base pieces are a bit big, but it all fit and it was great. So that was really good. So I got it home and I started to assemble it. And so let's start off the review with the things that were not so great with the Hansu, and assembly was definitely one of them. So first of all, there were no instructions included in the box that I got, or the parts that I got. There was a picture of what it looked like, but there were no actual instructions. So Adam had said, you know, if I have any problems to reach out to him and he would help me. So what I did is I found some basic instructions on, again, their Australian website. Their Australian website seems to be the most up to date. They're kind of low res. They're not exactly detailed. They were a bit difficult. And I have to say that, you know, I've worked with a few combo racks now. I put my other one together. If I didn't know how a combo rack was supposed to go together, I'd probably still be putting this thing together. The instructions were not the best. There was a lot of confusion, like does the bolt go this way with the head or the nut, or does it go that way? Do you want the washers here, there? Again, not a lot of clear instruction. So I just sort of did the best. And really the worst part was the upright system. Getting that, because you have to put the spotter arms, the uprights, and everything kind of all in together to get the incline feature to work properly. And it just wasn't intuitive. And I mean, you know, now that I know how it works, it's not too bad. You know, sort of, you know, in hindsight, oh yes, of course, that's how it works. But, you know, putting it together at 10 o'clock at night after I'd had a long day, really just kind of pushed the frustration point. So, but it's together now, it's done. If you need any help assembling one, let me know, because I'm pretty much an expert on this one now. So the next thing that was, again, a little bit of a pain point for me were the welds. Now, I'm not a welding expert, okay? And I'm not talking about the welds themselves. The welds themselves look okay. I mean, they're obviously made by a machine. But when I was taking everything out, everything was very, very carefully wrapped in bubble wrap to make sure it wasn't scratched up, which was great. But there were a lot of what looked like little ball bearings in a lot of the packaging. And in some of the hollowed out parts of the metal, I could hear what, again, sounded like little ball bearings in there. I was like, what the heck are these? And as I was taking it apart, these things, you know, all these little bits of metal kept falling out. So I went on Google and I did some research, and what I am 99% positive they were is when you weld something, and again, I'm not a welding expert, but you know, you're probably used to seeing all the sparks fly everywhere. Well, what those sparks are is little bits of metal like flying away from the area you're welding. Well, when you weld inside an enclosed hollow tube, obviously those little bits of metal don't have anywhere to go except for sort of ricochet around, and when they cool off, they become little welding beads, and that's what there were. And there were hundreds of these things, if not thousands. And you know, trying to take some of these bits and trying to get all the little bits of metal out was a bit of a pain. I mean, I think I've got them all, but again, that was just, at first I was like, did something with bearings in here break? Like, are these bearings for something? I was like, but there's nothing here that rotates. Like, I couldn't figure it out. But anyway, again, done. That's not a problem. The next issue I kind of had, and again, a pain point, was that the uprights and the spotter pins here have a wood insert in them. Now that's fine. I get why they did that, so, you know, so it's a little more stable for the pins to go in. But the wood they use is got to be the cheapest particle board that they could find, because the wood had chipped on the inside. So the first time I was like trying to put a pin into one of the uprights, wouldn't go, and I smack, and then all these wood chips, you know, go flying out, and just made a bit of a mess. So what I ended up doing is I ended up taking them all outside, and I'm sitting there with the safety, you know, with the pins, and I'm going through all the holes to punch them out, and you know, and I got them all cleared out, and it's fine. But you know, again, that was a little bit of a pain point. So yeah. The last sort of pain point, and this is a bit of an oddity as well, is that the bench isn't quite straight. You know, I've tightened it down to as tight as I can. And when I've done that, the bench, as you can see, I'll put a little video up here, it kind of goes that way a little bit. It's not a huge thing. I've done some bench sessions and it doesn't seem to affect, you know, I don't feel like I'm feeling awkward or off center or anything. If I loosen it, I can straighten it, but then the bench kind of wobbles a bit. So give take. So I just tightened it down and I've left it like it is. So no. So those are the major pain points. But again, most of those were assembly things. Now that the assembly's done, you know, they're in the past, so it's not a big deal. But again, just something I wanted to mention. So those were the pain points. So what are the things that were kind of like, they're okay, but I was a little concerned about? So the first thing I noticed is that the uprights do feel a little bit loose. And I'll do a little video here to demonstrate that. It's not a big deal, and actually now that I've used the rack a little bit and I've squatted in it, it's actually kind of nice because you walk in and now there's a bit of a, you know, instead of a boom, you don't hit like a solid wall when you walk in your squat. It kind of goes in and there's a bit of a little bit of give. So maybe that's by design. I'm trying to think, you know, on my ER, not my ER, but when I've squatted on an ER rack, if it's got the same give. So I don't think it was that loose, but again, it was something that at first I was like, really? And then I sort of went, well, it's not that big a deal. The other thing is the bench, removing the bench. So this was a bit of a pain point with my StrongArm. The removal of the bench on the Hansu is a bit of a pain in the ass, but it's a different pain in the ass, if that makes any sense. You know, the StrongArm was kind of load, undo things. This, it's just a heavier piece, so, you know, maybe there's just not really a simple, easy design for when you're removing the bench. I know Ghost puts it on wheels, but that's because the frickin' bench weighs 150 kilograms, so, you know, they have to put it on wheels, so, you know, that's just how it is. But anyway, it's a solid piece, which is good. So yeah. So that brings us to what do I really like about the Hansu Combo Rack. And the first thing that I really like, sort of, you know, not a big thing for me, but this rack does have the ability for the uprights to go in. Now, it's not a feature that I use, but it is something that's nice to have. So if I have friends come over and they want to, you know, have the uprights in, it's possible. The system is pretty straightforward. I'll do a little video demonstrating that. It's not quite as slick as like the ER combo racks that I use in competition. They've got a little spring, you know, lift in place, so that's a little bit of a better system. But, you know, overall, again, it's just a nice feature to have. And at this price point, I don't think there's another combo rack out there that offers the uprights that move in. I know the StrongArm has an upgrade that you can do to do it, but this is a proper, you know, it's built into the system. So that's kind of nice. The spotter arms, they're numbered, which is nice. The StrongArm ones were not. So having numbers, just a little quick, easier to reference than sort of like how many holes up do I see. And they're a lot easier to adjust. And the same with the upright arms. You don't have to tighten them down or untighten them to move them, which is really nice. Again, one of the small pain points I had with the StrongArm was if I needed to adjust it, my wife wanted to use it, or again, if I've got friends coming over, adjusting it was always a little bit of a pain. It's a solid unit. It's you know, it just has a good solid feel to it. It's got the extra base support, which is nice. I have bolted it down where I can bolt it down in the front. So it's as solid, if not more solid than the StrongArm was. So again, I have no issues working out here by myself and maybe crashing out and having to worry about the thing flipping over on me. That's just not going to happen. It's not a concern. This is a bit of a weird one, and it could just be me being, you know, a little bit strange, but the distance between the spotter arms feels a little bit wider. I did have some issues with the StrongArm when I was benching that my elbows would kind of brush up against the spotter arms, and when you're doing a heavy bench and you just sort of feel that, can throw you off a little bit. I haven't had that issue in a couple of bench sessions on the Hansu, so that seems to be a good upgrade. The two big things though that are really nice and I'm really pleased with the Hansu is the spotter platforms. The spotter platforms are where they should be. So doing a handoff is much easier. There was, with the StrongArm, you really had to kind of reach out. You were sitting on the edge of them, which was a bit difficult. But with the Hansu, the spotter platform is exactly where it should be, and it's really easy to do a handoff. And if I'm doing a heavy bench, I can get my wife or someone to do that, and they can do it properly. And then the other thing that is really, really good is the squat J-cups. So the J-cups at the top, basically this guy up here is what I'm referring to. So on the StrongArm, that J-cup had about 4-inch height. So that made it a little tricky to get the height exactly right, because if you were too low, you could shoot right over the top when you were walking it in, and obviously if it's too high, you really had to work at moving it in. So with an 8-inch height that you get on the Hansu and most other combo racks, there's a lot more give, and you can play around with the height and really find something that you're comfortable with. So now when I walk it in, I have no issues or fears that I'm not quite gonna get it into the J-cups at the top correctly. And it's also nice that the J-cups also have the UMHW plastic all the way, so it's not biting into my bar as much. So yeah, that's basically it. So overall, really, really happy with the Hansu. It's a really great piece. I do recommend it if you're looking for a good beginner combo rack. And I'm really, really happy I did the upgrade. Again, there are some flaws. It's not 100% perfect, but overall, most of those were with the assembly, and that's done and over with, and the actual use has been great. So yeah, again, do recommend it. Nothing against the StrongArm, that's also a great piece, and if you're looking at it, I still recommend that as a great beginner combo rack as well. But that's my review of the Hansu Classic, as they're calling it now. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below and I'll do my best to answer them. In the meantime, keep lifting and love to lift. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.